So, guys, whoever's watching this, right? This is a beautiful conversation that you will experience on how two individuals can go ahead and take the approach of consciousness and understanding that within there are answers that can be expressed on without, right? My name is Cesar Sevilla. I was always a mindset coach that tapped into consciousness. And at the moment, I have a community called Invincity where we do try to elevate people's consciousness. That way, we no longer look without, we no longer look to force, but we look to be guided by something within us because we truly believe that we have this power that, whether you want to call it God, you want to call it universe, but there is a magic piece within us that a lot of people have not tapped into. So this is one of the most important people of my lives because he is one of the pioneers that, allowed me to really believe in this thing. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able, or I wouldn't be so certain as I am now. But, go ahead. This is Elias, that's how I know him. And, he's a good friend of mine. We've talked, we've coached together, and we've had deep conversations. So, Elias, please go ahead and introduce yourself however you think it's appropriate for yourself. Of
Thank you for the kind words. First
course.
of all, it's always a blessing to have conversations with you. My name is Elias. I'm 30, living in Denmark. I've been working with you, Caesar, for I think it's 1.5 years, plus minus,
Plus minus. Over a year
plus
for sure.
minus. And I've always been on this spiritual journey of finding out what I am in this world and what I really value within me. And as a young man, it can be difficult to put it into words sometimes because you are in this world alone, or majority of people are, right. So 1.5 years ago, I stepped into Caesar's environment, whatever you want to call it, and through his guidance and conversations on different points in life, to be honest, it opened up a new way of seeing. I was going to say the world, but it's seeing yourself in the world.
Love that.
So
I love
so
that.
so that's a
Absolutely.
little bit about me. I have a job as a senior consultant. I work with companies within the life science industry. And besides that, I have a digital marketing firm um, specified within the dental industry. And we help where we can in the digital marketing spectrum of the dental clinics, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that's a beautiful introduction to yourself. And, the things that you were tapping into, uh, we understand that when we can look within, it has the answers for everything we look without, right? And that's actually where I want to get into. Before we ever spoke about plus or minus a year ago, like you were saying, in my journey, there was always something I was seeking outside. But every time I
Mm.
seeked outside, it just reflected that I should look within. That the answer was never without, that it was always within. Now, Elias, around a year ago, right, you encountered me through another coach, and it was a coaching program called ManQuest, right? Shout out to them.
Well,
What were you seeking at that time before you even got into a conversation with me, right? Because what you were seeking or what you were desiring may resonate with a lot of people's initial seek. Because, and the reason I frame it like that is because I feel like you have, evolved in what you now look for or what, fulfills you. So I just want to go ahead and paint the picture of what, might have been the first thing or the first evolution of yourself, or what led you to possibly even talk with me and the rest of the coaches. What was in your
mm,
mind at the time?
that's a good question. Initially, when we started the journey, it was ManQuest, and you were three people. One of them was the business aspect, and the training aspect, and you with the spiritual guidance, right? To give a short answer, just to start it off, what I was seeking was money.
Hey, hey, I
I'm
told
gonna
you,
be
we
transparent
connected
then.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna be transparent and say what it was. It was money, and it was kind of showing off. I wanted money to show off, because I never had that in my young life, and nothing wrong with going for the money. But initially, that was the main goal, the main objective. Oh, I thought so. was was the material things, right? So yeah.
yeah, that and I think everybody starts from there, right? I don't think there's a single person that just leaped into the spiritual side and say, yeah, this is what matters. No, we all, have this little void within that, some of us continue searching for that void to feel this short-term satisfaction, right? But I feel like that's where our conversations, it inspired to look at something much deeper, such as consciousness and understanding ego and how maybe the desires that we we're first seeking at one point in our lives were because of this ego, this animalistic thing that also combines with the ego of the collective society, right? You must
Hmm.
get rich, you must get this, you must get that, right? And talk me through it, right? That was the initial search. That was initially what you were seeking. And would you say that it was maybe the answer for you was there has to be this tactic, this blueprint, this business. There's something out there that I must obtain in order for me to get to that position. And maybe it was the case for you, but do you feel like there was maybe a bridge you crossed where again, I think the number one thing that I would love for people to understand is that as I found for myself, and maybe you have found for yourself, that a lot of it came from a change within. Like you said, a perspective of how you
Hmm.
see yourself and how that reflects to the world. You know,
Hmm.
what led you to maybe say, you know what, maybe it's not strictly just business. Maybe it is, looking within.
The thing is, the journey for all these materialistic things, the epiphany of that is that I needed validation. And there are so many layers of the journey you can go through, as you know, Caesar. There's so many layers. And the validation, as I dive deeper and deeper into it, was connected to my ego. So now I knew that, okay, I needed validation and I needed to work on my ego, because for a long time, me striving for money wasn't working. And I had, business strategies. I had outreach plans. I, worked 12 hours a day to get, the goal. Like I had to get it. And at some point I was like, fuck it, man, I'm just gonna take a step back and relax a little bit. And then when the journey began and I dived into, the validation and the ego, and in my perspective, ego for a man or a woman is one of the hardest things you can dive into. That's like a whole nother subject. Um, but as long as you control and know your ego from the outside, you have a really good starting point on how you can know yourself from the inside and know your values. And when you step back from the ego perspective, you really see yourself from a light within, and the traumas and the shadow, aspect you have had in your life throughout your journey starts to come out. That's when you dive in even deeper to it, and you know have lots of conversations, before a mirror, and talk to yourself, and that's a hard thing to do. So yeah.
Absolutely. That was you described it very perfectly, the mechanism of this ego. You called it the shadow and how, potentially even across the shadow there is this light that, well, we both hope that a lot of people can, start looking towards this light within themselves. Now, I think this is the most important part. How did you see that ego, that shadow, that darkness, that, the things you weren't aware of? How did it project, let's just say, into business? Was it more about forcing things? Was it more about that voice within your head? What did you see was the biggest concern once you realized, hey, potentially this ego might be the thing that is holding me back?
That's a really, really important question, actually, because in the beginning, my ego was so much in control that it was all about me and my product. When I had conversation with potential clients, I didn't even listen to what their needs were. Like, just I
Thanks.
was so certain that my product was, the best product for them, because I've worked so many hours on it, that I didn't stop and listen to what their challenges were, and also try to connect to that human being in front of me and really listen what their pain point is. Um, so as soon as I did that, and again step back from myself and my product and just listen, I started closing clients left and right, and something like clicked in me, and I was like, okay, it's not about, of course, you gotta have a good product and everything, but I would say I think it's 50-50, to be honest. As soon as you stop and listen to the person you're speaking to, what their problem is and what their need is, and like genuinely trying to see if you can help, first of all, it's going to be a fun process you're going through, and your ego is slowly dissolving from, I need to close this client.
Absolutely. It comes down to, being more selfless and, not, like you said, the vanity of, money and what you gain and all these things, right? Which for some reason, the moment you detach, it is when the thing you actually want the most,
Yeah.
most obtainable. And that's in all aspects of life, not only money, but relationships, fitness, and all the things that you see yourself, being attached to. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, right, and you put it in different words, right, but a lot of people have this, maybe it's a misconception or they misconstrue the word manifestation, right? And
Mm,
that's one of the words that you always mention to me. And you're like, I want to know how to manifest. I want to manifest this dream. I want to manifest these goals, right? And the more we got into our conversations, the more you started to believe that manifestation was even real. Or the more you start to believe that, yes, you know what, I can manifest. And that's the thing I want to understand right here. Based on our conversations, if you can recall, what was something that allowed you to believe more in, you having the potential, just like anybody else, but you can see very transparent that you are that creator of life, and that truly,
mm,
if what you want to manifest is a a possibility, if you understand what, and that
yeah.
what would you describe? What would it be that, help you understand that you are this person
Mm,
that can manifest? And if you can tap into what manifests, maybe how you define it, I would love to hear that as well.
mm. And in my journey,
Absolutely.
there is so many, manifestations guru, and you do this and you can do that, and you have it. But what really worked for me, thank God, is that I worked on, my subconscious mind and my ego and my values, um, and that spectrum of the journey again, before I start quote unquote manifesting. And it comes to a point where you like truly feel genuine about believing in you are at the right time. And it's not a thought that you continuously say, it's a feeling that you truly have, that you give everything that you desire to God, and to, the different frequency in the world and the energy. And you suddenly become like a new person. Your thoughts, your emotions, you walk different, you have different connections, you are just having genuine relationships with yourself and with, your family and your friends, and you feel empowered by that. And as soon as I felt empowered by that, I started to believe that, the all the goals I have, it's inevitable. It will happen. It will happen. And I kind of had that genuine feeling and detached from it. I still worked on my business and everything, but I
Same.
had the feeling detached from it and um, I wasn't so in a rush to get it.
Mm.
And alhamdulillah, I have everything I ever wanted in like in a year.
Wow.
Like I just moved in here in the city in like a beautiful apartment,
Wow.
and my agency is thriving. I'm starting, or we are developing a AI expansion of my agency. So
Wow.
everything on the business side is going really good, and my relationships to God and my family and friends and myself, which is the most important, is thriving.
Wow.
So manifestation is a topic that you got to feel with time.
Absolutely. With time, and I just want to add on to that, right? Ladies and gentlemen, manifestation is not only he wasn't, specifically chosen, even though he says he was chosen, he has to believe he's chosen. But every single person that's watching this, I want you to understand you can manifest because I did too. I was able to manifest the feeling of being this future already now. And that is the beautiful part about it, that if you can listen to this next couple sentences that I will say, allowing to tap into these emotions compared to the default emotion that you've always been feeling, when you tap into this future emotion, your subconscious mind goes ahead and wants to seek to express and, find what's familiar with that emotion. For me, I recognized poverty all my life before, the age of 22. And it was something default. It was ingrained in me. It was always why when I started business or when I did something, I immediately just felt the rejection before it even happened because my subconscious mind wanted to go ahead and predict that, yeah, this is exactly what you're going to feel, more poverty, right? But the thing
Mm,
is, I was able to feel the manifestation of the emotion, of the feeling before it happened. And then all of a sudden, my thoughts, my decision, my actions, the way I carried myself started to automatically adjust. And this is what Elias is describing here. Now, Elias, one of the things, right? Let's go deeper into this thing of, manifestation. One of the things that always stuck out to me, and every time we jumped on a call, you always said, yeah, I'm being this person already. And this is what I was talking about right now or mentioning, right? What were you being, right? And what's the difference between being this person that you were saying you're being versus, before that? Who were you being before? Can you, split up the two, version one versus version two?
yeah, of course. The past version was living in the past and in the future.
Wow.
I was always seeking the next step down the line, and I was always buried by my past in my subconscious mind. So it took, working on myself every day to really get the feeling of just being here and being now. The power of noticing your body when you wake up, going outside, and don't let your thoughts take you into a spiral. Not thinking about every task that hasn't even happened yet. And that's really the cornerstone when you dive into yourself and everything aligns, that you can master the power of being in the moment. Because if we look at it objectively, right, you don't have anything else but this moment right here.
Absolutely.
You don't know if you're gonna wake up and die. Let's not hope so. But and I was thinking, if I wake up tomorrow and die, every worry I had today didn't even fucking matter. So, and that was the difference between, past me and present me, is that I now wake up and live in the present. Emotionally, you can still have, plans, strategic plans going through the future, but I'm not detached to the outcome of these plans in the future. I'm doing it now. I'm living now. I'm feeling now. I'm noticing now, and I'm taking control over what's happening right now.
I think that is one of the biggest dilemmas worldwide where everybody's thinking about their past, their guilt, their shame from the past, what went wrong in the past, projecting it onto the future, wanting to know what's the
Mm,
next step, but they never sit there in the present moment to create, to become, to be. Because something that I remember from the top of my head, every time I jumped on a call with you, Elias, you're there smiling. You're like, I already have all the results. I already have all these things. It's already here. And that is truly, one of the most impressive things. It helped me align and say, hey, you know what? I should be practicing that myself instead of desiring something, feel grateful for. Because once you
mm,
understand that in your mind, you can feel the emotions and start to develop the beliefs before you have the thing. This is where you go from desiring, which means attached, and the subconscious mind understands that desiring something means I don't have, lack of it, versus starting to feel grateful for it, grateful for the now,
mm,
grateful for the abundance you feel, grateful for the love you feel, and grateful for just even having an idea of this business. And the more you have gratitude, that is the signature emotion of already having. And like I said
mm.
previously before, it's about already having it. Therefore, your subconscious mind will go ahead and express more ways to say, yes, that emotion you have, it is true. Now, Elias,
And the
yeah,
question
go ahead,
is, sorry,
please.
and the question is, how do I do that? How do I learn that? Right, living in the now,
Yes, right.
because the mind we have as individual is our worst enemy if we if we take it like that, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so I don't know if you have any suggestions on how you can be in the present, be in the moment.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
I think me and you, sorry to cut you off. I think me and you have an amazing ability or amazing concept of, meditation, right? Always sharing the meditations between you and I. And it is why we truly believe in it, right? And the
Mm,
meditation, I feel like there's three levels of it. One is the quieting the thoughts, being nothing, quieting the mind, and allowing you to understand that's what teaches you to be present. Level two is in that meditation, the visualization aspects of things, being able to see the scenes that your five senses right now can tap into. It can't see the abundance, it can't see the love, it can't see you healthy. But in that visualization, it is the only thing that allows you to see a different reality. And when you sit there so present in that meditation, seeing these scenes play out, your mind starts to believe that it's real. And the reason I stand by this is because all my visualizations from the past, my brain thinks it was a memory. And meaning it actually experienced and felt those emotions, and that is mind-blowing because my
mm,
mind really believes, hey, that actually happened. A visualization of when I didn't work online, when I didn't make money online, I would visualize the laptop sitting on a Zoom call with a whole community talking about all these things, the books. I never had that in my present reality, but I
mm.
convinced myself through these meditations that it was the reality now. And by manifestation, which a lot of people doesn't think is real, I ended up in that same visualization, but in just my current reality. So I think that is, one of the most important ways for me to become present and understanding that it is the only reality. And most importantly, understanding that it is the only time where you can create new thoughts. Because if you're thinking about the past, there's already thoughts from the past already on automatic autopilot. When you're thinking of the
Mm,
future, you're just projecting the thoughts based on what you previously thought in the past. But in the present moment is the one time where you can step up and say, hey, I am deserving of abundance. And some
yeah,
people never in their life have said that. And the moment you say that, it's beautiful how you plant a seed and that seed wants to grow and show that that thought can become something. And that is why, in every book I've ever read, it says thoughts do become things, right? Now,
mm.
Elias, I would love for you to explain it in your ways. What allowed you to, really understand that the present moment is the only reality? What allows you to, say, no, I'm not going to pay attention to this future. I'm not going to pay attention to this past. What allows you to always remind yourself, hey, the present moment is here now?
You know that back in the days when you were striving for external things and everything else, I wasn't really, I must say, happy. even though I did, striving for this and doing this and strategy and business calls and whatever. And I reached a point where I was like, this can't be life, striving for happiness, right? And you mentioned it quite good regarding meditation, that people always say that I can't meditate because my thoughts, take me away. But for me, what did the breaking point was that when your thoughts, and this is how you learn to be in the present moment, when you meditate for 10 minutes or 50, whatever feels comfortable, when your thoughts is going in a different direction, you take your thoughts back to the now. And as more as you practice this state of mind, that taking your thoughts back with closed eyes, taking your thoughts back to the present now and feeling it, being in it, with time you can do this outside. You
Yes.
can you realize that you are not your thoughts, because you can take away the power of your subconscious mind and say, oh, I'm gonna be right here where I am, I'm gonna see the trees, I'm gonna take a deep breath. um, and that's really the difference, I would say.
Wow. I think I said there was three levels to meditation, but I didn't mention the third level, which life becomes the meditation itself. And
Mm,
that is the most profound uh position you can ever start to look at life, where every moment is a meditation where you're only focused on what is here right now. And that's what allowed me to step out. And I hope that everybody that watches this understands that if you do not step into the reality right now, then you must understand this sneaky aspect of the ego. It is unconsciously predicting and moving you towards acquiring all it already knows what to do. It wants to predict the same thoughts, it wants to predict the same emotions, it wants to predict the same results. So there's never going to be a chance where you say, yeah, I expect something different tomorrow. We start
mm,
thinking next week, we start thinking next month, we start thinking next year. But behind all of that is the fuel of the ego, which says, I don't want anything different. And hey, it's not a bad thing. It's just the role of the brain. The role of the brain is I want to not stress my brain out. I want to use the least amount of energy. And how do you do that? By going down the most predictable path and staying away from the unknown. But in the present moment, it is the unknown. In the present moment, there is no thinking, there is no ego telling you what to do. And then a lot of people enter confusion. But this is where I start to say, hey, don't worry about the future, because creating in the now takes care of the future. And this is why,
mm.
right? I look back to, my journey, and it was the number one thing that allowed me to, and again, right? It took 1 year to get the life I wanted, of traveling around the world, of working online and meeting individuals such as yourself, right? And I look back and I'm like, how did that all just change so fast? And that's a lot of people's fear, that it will take 5 years, it could take 10 years. And Elias, I know you said earlier in the call that it took you literally within 1 year. Did you ever expect it to take 1 year?
Like this feeling I have right now and had for a while, uh, is calmness.
Calmness.
Calmness. I'm so calm like every day, and I'm facing, obstacles in my life now that, prior me would have, stumbled upon and worried about. I'm so calm, like nothing external right now, mostly, can affect me in such a way that I decourse. Um, so I couldn't expect this feeling that I have right now. And when you have this feeling, oh, I hope honestly everybody feel this feeling of just being calm. When you have that, you move through life different, like everything you do. And then there is a deeper layer on it, but that's a whole nother talk. Like, is this it?
Oh,
But
well, yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's amazing. I think the number one thing on this call we can say, that's another conversation, that's another chapter. That requires a whole nother hour. There's
yeah.
there's just so many layers of all of this, right? But the point of this whole talk is to show how someone can go from, being that person who desires and is attached and wants to force things to happen to detaching, understanding themselves, understanding the world within, and then the results start to pour in. Now, Elias, talking about the next chapter, I can say, hey, what is the next thing you want? And I would love to hear that for yourself, but I would love to, have your point of view, right? Because something that I can admit is that at one point I did desire to make, multiple thousands of dollars coaching people online through the communities on my one-on-one coaching sessions. And at one point in my life, I thought, hey, once I get all of that, I will be satisfied. Once I get achieve
Mm.
all of this, I will have it all. Once I travel to all these countries I've been traveling to, then I'll be the happiest I've ever felt. And it just seems to me that there's always this desire for wanting more. Oh, it's not enough. But then I need this, I need that, right? And now for you, right? I would love to hear specifically from you. At one point, you did say, yes, Caesar, I did want the money, right? I did want the money. Because Elias, if I recall, you were sitting around, I think anywhere 5,000 around that range. Is that correct?
In regards to what?
The revenue you were making?
Right now
No, no, no.
or
Yeah, yeah, around the
back in
year,
the day? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
right? And then what you did was you wrote on a piece of paper what you
Yeah.
do you
I
remember
got it. I got it in a gold plate, actually.
a gold plate, right? And in this piece of paper, what Elias did was write exactly what he wanted. And he said, I'll achieve it, right? The amount a lot of people in this world would think is bullshit, it's impossible, it's all of this. But me and Elias knew that it wasn't something impossible because we understood that impossible is because of the limited mind. But once you understand this limited mind does not pertain to you, then the possibilities are open there. Now, Elias, for the people out there that think small, right? Because the quote I live by, man, is it's not that people aim high and miss, it's that people aim low and hit. Now, Elias, if you
Mm.
can, for the people out there, what did that gold plaque show to you? And that's one aspect of things, but then I'm going to flip it completely around. Was that, did it satisfy what you truly wanted? Right? So, yes, you achieved it, but then the mind probably went to what's next. Can you go
Yeah,
ahead and
that's
tap
true.
into both of that? What was on
Yeah,
that gold plaque, bro?
I put it in a gold plate, and I honestly walk with that gold plate every day. Like, I just had it in my pocket, and I wrote 3 words in the back. And every time I felt it, I just had like kind of a rush in my body. Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. I have this. And you told me to write a number specifically of how you value your services and what you want to achieve and stuff like that. And I started off, I think, with 10K or something.
10K, that's it.
I wrote, and he was like, you gotta aim for something greater. Do you really feel that you aren't worth more than 10K, right? And then I wrote 30K. And the funny thing about that is, I in the beginning I walked through, the business aspect of it, and thought I knew where clients came from. I was like, I gotta be in control, I gotta do this and this. And as soon as I backed off and just let it be in flow, I swear to God, I don't know how these clients found me. I have no idea.
Hey, Ed, that is the story I tell. Hey, I don't know where this person found me. How, that's the same thing I tell everybody. Go. I want you to
Yeah,
go more on that. That is the beautiful part about life that I want you to describe. Go ahead, man.
yeah. I wasn't chasing anymore. I wasn't. I have closed a couple of clients there, and to be honest, money didn't, attract me in that way that it did before. So I was focused on providing value for my clients, and I genuinely wanted to give them a great growth in their clinics. And like, I even put my prices way down at some point just because I wanted to help, this woman that really wanted to create growth in her clinics. So I did that, and with time we created growth, and she came back with 5 clients.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
this is me earning maybe, I would say, $500 on her, which we never did before, right?
Yeah.
But I just wanted to help.
Wow.
Uh, and that was a genuine feeling, me wanted to help. And because I didn't, go in with the desire of making, a profit on her, it just came back 10 times more.
Wow. That is, it's amazing,
True
right?
story. That's the same.
Amazing. It's amazing because, again, this is a truth. It must be a law because if it's happening to you and it's happening to me, there must be this law that the energy, the coming from the heart, you will get an equivalent return on, your effort of, the equivalence of detachment because you became detached because you lowered your prices. And because of that, there was a reward because you truly wanted to serve. And that's amazing because my a client I just got last week, I remember 2 months ago, I just thought about him. I wanted to know he's okay. I wanted to make sure he's fine. I sent
Mm,
a voice note, hey, what do you need? Is there any way I can help you, bro? Listen, if you need anything, if you're going through anything, please, just let me know. And yeah, he started talking to me. I started helping him. I started to, no charge at all, just helping. I wanted to make sure. 2 months later, now he's like, hey man, remember how you just reached out to me and you just cared? Well, yeah, I want to pay you now because you just cared. And then paid me, but I'm like, wow, that is absolutely crazy when you don't look for it, but when you feel most aligned, it just comes out of nowhere. And that
yeah.
is story of my life. That is story of your life. Now, Elias, a lot of people might hear this and they're like, this might be a fairy tale. These guys scripted this whole out there because for some people this might seem like a phenomenon, a miracle, or these guys just got lucky. But what would you say to someone who wants to adopt this information, right? Is it just simple enough to say you just got to open your mind? Is it something to say everything you've been looking for has been within? Like, what would you tell someone not to convince them 100%, but if you cared for someone, you would want them to take a couple steps that you took on looking within,
Mm.
letting go of certain things. What would you tell someone?
I think the most important fact here, when we are living in this digital age where, the topic manifestation and spirituality is over everything, um, is to say that this is not easy. This is not something that you just tap into a day or two. You gotta be like obsessed with being the best version of yourself. This is not just being the best version, mentally. This is stepping into the best version, physically, mentally, creating better relationships within, but also with the people you have around. Like I stopped drinking and going out because that was a step back for me every time I did. Like I stepped into a whole different identity, like 7 out of 7 days for a
Wow.
long, long time. And now that I would say task or things I before thought was task is just a part of my daily life now, without me thinking of it, which from a year ago would be like so hard to understand. Like I'm just in a different flow now, where I'm obsessed with being the best version of me, and doing it authentically as well, without being influenced by everything external. I still do sometimes. I'm not,
Of
and
course.
you get it's ups and downs. But as long as you have the feeling of knowing who you are, nobody can really say anything that's gonna take you off your course.
Absolutely. Now, we're reaching the end of this. I want to put the cherry on top of some certain things, right? And one of the things, two things I want to connect is this word flow that you get into. You say, I get into flow. I go with flow. And then the next part is how does that flow look like the word future is almost, I'm allergic to it, but the now that's creating that future. Can,
Mm,
can you just describe, man, what is flow for you? When you get into flow, how do you know you're in flow? Can you tap into that?
yeah, I think there's two aspects of flow. Right now, when I say I'm in flow, is because everything I do on a daily basis is just incorporated in my life. Like meditate, training, working, whatever you have in your life, reading, whatever you have in your life is in flow.
Mm,
And my brain, this is an individual thing, of course, my brain functions, 100% when everything I set myself to do is in flow without
absolutely.
me forcing it. The other aspect is that I also kind of let go of every task I have,
Mm,
and give it to God, and trusting that He will provide. And sometimes I have to take a step back and really look where I am, and comparing it to where I was, a year or even 2 years ago, and say to myself, if he did this where I am today, and I was so worried back in the day, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is not gonna be a nice life for me.
absolutely.
So if he did this, I have no reason to doubt that everything will be provided in the future.
Absolutely. And listen, that's the last thing I want to get into right now. How do you feel about the future, and why, what allows you to really believe that that future's handled? And simply just let's wrap it up with what's next in your life. That way, a year from now,
Mm,
it could be another interview and people understand and see the documentation of next year, it's not the same guy who's sitting here in front of season.
mm. I think next year, first of all, I genuinely feel that I have everything I need right now. So
Bless.
if nothing happens, I'm good. Like, I genuinely feel that. It's not some cliche or bullshit I'm saying.
No, I
Genuinely feel
love it.
that.
That's the best answer I've heard.
And and a point of that is that I'm healthy as well. That I'm healthy, waking up, breathing. I can go down train whenever I want. That's a huge part of it. And if we look into the business aspect, I'm building an empire here.
Woo!
And I have now the extension of my digital agency is being developed, and we have a clear goal of 150 clinics being part of that. Um, so that is to be continued.
With faith and understanding, inevitably, that would you say, right? And this is where, man, it sucks. I always extend these conversations, but would you say it's almost a feeling of it's guaranteed?
It's
Almost.
inevitable.
It's inevitable, right?
So I don't have to stress about it. I just have to be here.
Wow. You had the confidence to say it's inevitable, it's guaranteed, because you understand self and you understand your source and the connection between self and source. What is there to fear? What is there to
Mm,
doubt? What is there to limit? And this is amazing to know that the words you just said right now will also become that gold plaque one day. And it will no longer be that gold plaque. It will be the empire materialized here in the physical world,
mm,
guaranteed. So
guaranteed.
I think that that wraps it up. It's an amazing story that you are building right now. And again, from the bottom of my heart, it is a phenomenal experience to be hearing all these words, to see your girl from last year till now, and to see everything that's up and coming for you and for
Mm,
myself and for the individual watching this as well, because it's more of a testimony for life, for humanity as one, to understand that there's nothing separating me or you or everybody else watching us, but that we all have this potential. But the only thing that separates us is you put this into your own mind. I put my vision into my own mind. And that the individual watching this as well should put this vision to their own mind and understand it comes into fruition, just like it did for Mo Elias here and for myself
Mm.
and Vincity. And Elias, I appreciate this amazing conversation. Anything you want to just drop the mic on for?
Take your time.
There we
Remember
go.
to breathe. You're not in a rush at all.
Wow.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. Always a
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this one-of-a-kind interview. It is phenomenal. It is magic. It is the power of now. It is the power of the mind. And most importantly, it is proof of God, of source. And to
Mm.
always, always have faith that things can change and that change starts within yourself first. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Elias, appreciate you. Let's wrap
Thank
up
you.
this.